That's not a good sign. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So I have noticed in worship lately, sometimes these mics seem a little bit more muffled, and we're going to try and mess with that a little bit, but compared to this mic, is this a little sharper and a little easier to hear? So I will suffer through holding it. All right? It makes it a little clearer, I think. Did everybody get a handout? My entire program is in the handout, and that way if you want to make notes or anything, you can. We titled this class St. Matthew's Connections, just mainly because we have so many things coming up, going on, that we want people to be connected to, want people to really have a good understanding of, and so wanted to have that place to show it, but honestly, the big thing I really want to share with you is at the end. That's Servant Keeper. That's our new system. We just had a whole class downstairs with our stewardship captains. We used to call them captains. We're calling them ambassadors now. That people that will be helping with the help desk. We'll talk about that more at the end, but I want to save almost half the class for that. So these other things, some of this stuff has been going on, you've been already using now for years, but I'm always amazed when people don't know about them. So we wanted to talk about them and help people with it. So one thing that not that many people know about, we've gone through committees on this, but want to talk a little bit today about it, is we are looking at replacing the outside sign. You think that's a good idea? If you're one of the people that has to go out there in the middle of winter, for some reason, the door always comes down on my head. And I usually walk away going, ow. Ed Bross has done a lot of that work, so I appreciate his work. But we've got a 20-year-old sign that's out there, and we put in the letters. They're 4-inch letters. The sign has become warped. The keys are breaking. The weather gets into it. And it's pretty dated. We've been looking at replacing it for about the last 10 years, but unfortunately, the method or media that is out there just has been very poor. Anybody go past Mount Zion on 123rd and North, you cannot read that sign. When they put it in, I just went, that is a terrible sign. The purpose of a sign is to be able to read what it says. That's important, and you can't read it. Tosa East, I hate to say it. A great school, terrible sign. You can't read the sign. You have to be 20 feet away from it to even get it. Now, part of that is user error, because you really have to put a sign up that is high contrast. So you want to be able to distinguish what is the actual letter and what's not just a cutesy graphic. Everybody wants to do the cutesy graphics. It's really important to have a clear, readable sign, and if the graphic is not helping that, it should not be there. So this summer, I went past one of the first signs that I was like, that's a good sign. And I literally, we were driving out of the parking lot of the church that we were sleeping at. I'm like, yeah, that's a good sign. This is the church geek coming in here, the pastor. I've literally been looking for something for 10 years, and when I saw that, I called up the church secretary. I said, where is your sign from? They gave me the name of the company that produces it. I called the company. They gave me names in town that install that sign, and so they bring out, it's kind of funny, they bring out a truck with different versions of the sign, because you can buy different quality, just like a TV, you can buy different quality, and obviously the better the quality, the more expensive. And it jumps up dramatically past the one that we chose. Ours is expensive. Don't get me wrong. It's about $2,700. No, $27,000. I like the $2,700 mark better. I made it worse by adding a zero, didn't I? So it is not cheap. But literally, you go up from there, and it gets up into the 50,000 range just for the sign itself. So we were trying to balance that out. But the big benefit to it is you can literally change it from anywhere that you can get on a computer. So we don't have to go outside. We literally change our sign maybe once a month because it's so difficult to do, And in February, it's like, it's fine. Jesus loves you, move on, right? But when doing some of the little bit of research that we did, the DOT, they put out those little, I don't know what they call it, they're not lasers, but they count the cars going past. In the southbound lane alone, which is, we're looking at turning the sign, I'll give you the picture here. This is the design that we're going for. You have the old one up on the top right, and then the new design. We try to stay very close to the look of the actual sign that we've had, but we added our logo to it, and we also, then you have the electronic portion down below. This is kind of a graphic that tries to show, we changed the direction right now that we're perpendicular to this, what you see up here. So it's going to be facing, one-sided facing the corner, which then directly faces the southbound traffic. You will still see it if you're parked, if you get stopped northbound at the corner, about 3 cars will see it. From that angle, probably the farther you go, the less the visibility. Third car probably isn't going to get great visibility on that. You'll also see it from the eastbound direction by Lincoln as you're coming towards Tosa East. You'll see it there. And then if you're coming from Tosa East, westbound, you'll get direct viewing. So it's for sure southbound, and anyone that's coming westbound through that intersection will see it. The DOT marked it at 9,000 cars past us a day, southbound alone, just that one lane. So, when you start to do the marketing research and people that know how to do that, clicks, you pay for a click on a website, or someone that just sees it, even if they're not actually going towards your product, that's worth something. And to have 9,000 cars going past us when we're literally not changing the sign. And we're honestly, whenever we think about changing the sign right now, it's like, what's the most generic thing we can put up for the next month? It's got to hold up for like a month or 2 because we're not going to change it. And so now we literally can create the sign. It can be up and scheduled, so we can say, even though it's September, end of September, we're going to make the Christmas sign, Merry Christmas. We can have it scheduled December 25th at 12:01. Switch over to Merry Christmas, and we can put it in a queue, and so that at the right time that it goes in. And we can also change it on the fly. So if, for example, a national disaster happens, and we want to say, please pray for those going through whatever it is, we can do it right then. Judy had a question?
In other words, where that welcome is, all that information would be going, correct?
So where that welcome is the digital part. That's the electronic part. So that is the amount of space we have to work with to make our sign, the changeable sign. The rest of it stays the same. So the name stays the same. Our current sign does not say ELCA. And can I use your name? Diane said to me, yeah, I drove past this church for years. Was it years? I threw in the years. For 2 years. Okay. For 2 years, I want to be accurate, and didn't know it was an ELCA congregation. And so, for people to know that, I personally would not go to a Missouri Synod church or a Wisconsin Synod church. So if I don't know what denomination it is, that's important. So having that out there now is going to be really good. So half of that 27,000 is the electric work, the changing the base, fabricating the sign above, getting all of that cabinet correct. And then a little less than half of that is the digital side of the sign. It's actually closer, I think, 11,000 for the sign. So a lot of the work is actually just the cabinet. As we all know, technology changes. I didn't want to spend too much time on this today, sorry. Technology changes, and in 5 years, 10 years, will we have something much better? I asked the sign company about that, and literally you just pull out that and you can put in something different. So you obviously have to pay for that upgrade, but the case around it would stay the same. Our current case, I was hoping we could use that, but it was built for a whole different, it's just like TVs, we now have widescreen versus the old standard ratio. The ratios have changed quite a bit, and that's different. So, Don, you had a question?
Yeah,
Yes, we know all about that. Yes. I've got it. Yes, thank you. It's kind of funny that, again, I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but there's sign ordinance, there's regulations about how often a day you can change a sign. TOSA is very restrictive. They don't want us to have, I'm trying to give an example, Times Square everywhere, and they really don't want flashing. They don't want moving text. They don't want video. None of that. I think the well, I'm not even going to say it because I intend to break it. It's like once a day you're supposed to change it. DOT lets you change it every 7 seconds. So in Milwaukee and DOT, it's every 7 seconds. So if we go up to the corner of Mayfair and Blue Mound, that sign, that big billboard, changes about every 7 seconds. There are signs, I won't tell you who, you can find out for yourself, that have just gone in and they're really pushing the regulations. They're doing video and they're doing changing it 30 seconds. So we won't be doing that. We want a static sign. We want it to look nice, high contrast, so you can easily see what the message is. The point of a sign is to get the message out. It's not to be cutesy. It's not to be fancy with graphics, and it's to get the message out. That's important. So we won't be doing any of that. We are going to follow those regulations, but I am intending to talk to the city about once a day. That's really restrictive. Could we do it once an hour, for example? You really don't see the change happen very much. Even those 30-second ones, people have moved on by that time. You don't even know what's happened. So if it could change more regularly, that'd be really good. But I know TOSA is very careful about that. And the theory that goes with that once a day goes back to the gas station war days, that you didn't want gas stations seeing across the street, oh, they're a penny cheaper, I'm going to change, and then the sign is constantly being changed. That was part of the impetus to the whole thing. It's a different era nowadays. So this is one thing that's going to be happening. We've signed the contract. We've gotten approval by the city. We have received that from Design Review Board. We are ready to go ahead. It's about an 8-week process to have it fabricated, have the whole base made, and then the digital put in and installed. So they say about 8 weeks before we're using it. So I was hoping for Thanksgiving is kind of the general time frame. Okay? Any other questions? Thad, yeah.
I understand the $27,000 initial cost.
Yes.
Have you considered what? Sure, I understand the $27,000 to have it fully installed. Is there? What's the additional cost of operating this? Have you captured that? What the monthly cost of operating it is?
In terms of electric?
Yes.
It's less than what we're currently using. Yeah.
Well, it's related to that.
We're using fluorescent right now. It's going to LED, so it's actually less amperage.
It's less. Good.
So that's saving us something in terms of, it uses a cellular connection. Got my mic, sorry.
Yeah.
I took the other one off, sorry. So it uses a cellular connection to be able to talk to the internet, and so that's why we don't have to go out and make that change. We get 5 years of cellular free, and then after the 5th year, we have to start to pay a monthly service. And I think the yearly cost is, I think it's $500 for the cellular cost for the whole year after that point. But they're basing that on this timing right now. In 5 years, has that changed? I'm not sure, but that they gave that to us.
The quick question is, will any of the landscaping be modified?
So landscaping-wise, that tree is actually already gone. So it was already, I don't know what you call that when you're mounding too high. So we had to take that down already. So that's a little deceiving in terms of the picture. The tree will not be behind it. That tree is actually gone. We're debating, is it better to not have the tree so you can see the church better as people drive by, see the church, or is it better to have a tree? So we'll have to do a little bit of work. Right now, and by the way, any garden crew members here right now? People do a lot of work out there, so thank you so much for that. And I think we have a day coming up next Saturday. Next Saturday, if you'd like to help the garden crew, 2 Saturdays from now, do the cleanup for fall, that'd be great. But around that space, there's a lot of flowers. Right now, the way it's set up, you can't see the sign real well because those flowers get too high. So this change will be better because, like, for example, the flowers that are there now, I think those are called daylilies. Is that right? Those are lowered to the ground so you can see it better. So it'll actually afford us a little bit more ability to do some different things there, not worrying about the height of both sides of the sign. A little bit of change. We also have a problem happening on the farther to the left. You're getting into more than you really want to know. This is the stuff I have to think about. But farther to the left, right by the stairs, that wall is pushing out, and we have to do some work on that. So, and this is a whole other thing I don't want to get into today, but it's a big topic that you will hear more in a congregational meeting about. We're looking at doing the parking lot. That's the last piece to the whole campaign. And the architects are starting to draft up ideas. And this wall, changing that farther to left, not getting rid of it, but reinforcing it better so that the dirt isn't pushing out, is going to help with that. But that sign is set back a good 12 to 15 feet away from that corner, so it won't be affected. So not much is the answer to your question except for the tree. Now, the tree is already gone, yes. And we're actually doing a lot of tree work. Greg Collins is helping us with it. He's a professional tree guy. That's the wrong title. But we haven't done tree trimming in 5 years, so that's coming up. Chris? The cost for this, so the cost comes out of the capital campaign. So with the capital campaign, as we did the last 3 years, we estimated around $1 million of costs. 700, I'm trying to think back to my numbers. 700 was paying down the debt. It might have been more than that. And then we said the parking lot, which we guessed at. We thought it might be 75. The more you dream and talk and think and what should we do? Should we move the entrance to a different side? I mean, all that kind of stuff. Should we add stairs to allow people to walk up like the Methodists do? You dream about all this stuff and try and figure it out. How do we flatten it out so it's not so, when it's icy, people aren't falling and breaking their hips, which has happened? How do you make it safe? We can't literally do, I'm giving you way too much here. This is a different adult ed, but we can't have as many handicap spots as we'd like because of the grade. So those are questions that we have to answer with that. And Judy is singing my tune, add cameras. Any kind of camera, it's good, right? The higher the digital camera, the better. Judy's on the committee. We're going to put her on the committee. Outside, I know what you're talking, I'm teasing. Security cameras is what you're talking about, yes, I know. So anyway, so with the capital campaign, there's a variety of things. The roof was a part of that. The tech we talked about. We didn't know all the stuff that was going to come, and this is one of those that it makes sense to put it into a capital campaign. We do have reserves that we could draw from too, but it seemed to be the guidance that it was better to go with the capital campaign on that. What'll happen next May, as we complete the last part of the campaign, as we planned on doing, and we knew that the pledges that came in the 3-year weren't going to cover what we needed to do. We already knew that. And so we knew at the very end there would be a tail that we'd have to say, okay, here's what's left to cover. Now, we didn't know because sometimes what happened the last time we did the parking lot, the other parking lot, someone came forward and said, here's a check. So, that kind of stuff happens. So it might, you never know, maybe it comes out less, but we know it's going to be more. The parking lot could, when I told the architects our budget, they went, oh, this is a different conversation. So I think they're thinking in the 300,000 range, and we're thinking the 75,000 range. So do you just resurface, pull off and resurface? You get a nice looking surface, but you don't handle the grade, you don't handle the exiting entrance problems, you don't handle that wall that is deteriorating, you don't handle the concrete step in the front entrance that is deteriorating, all those kind of things. So you have to look at all of it, figure out, hear price tags and go, that's the crazy level. Let's pull it back, and what else could we do? So, anyway, does that get at our questions? All right. So this is the 5-minute thing I was going to talk about. Oh boy. Website redesign. We did a redesign of our website. Have you gone up to check it out lately? Hopefully you have. Trying to do a number of things with the website, making it more functional for our current devices. So the modern operating systems of your phones, of your iPads, of your computers, so that it functions better. That was a big part of that. Updating the just simplicity to how to get around and what to look for and how to find things. I'm going to show you another link called the Master Resource link. That's a key thing that will help you to find resources and get to places you need to go. Like, I want to find the voice from 3 times ago. Go to the master list where all the voice are and you can pull it out. Or bulletins, from that. I want to find that one article from 4 months ago. I don't know. So you can find things like that and gets you to those things. This is just a general look. Please check it out. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It's been out for a little bit, but it gives you kind of a lot of simplicity and some of those key things that people often use and are often looking for. The big one, like I said, is that resource tab. And it shows you, how to connect to those key things like the calendars, Sunday bulletins, weekly announcements, the voice, MSB. How many of you use MSB Ministry Scheduler Pro for scheduling Sunday morning volunteer stuff? Do you guys all use that? That's a key thing we'll talk about in a second. The membership directory, library, and such. So the website is all there, and Don is praying patiently for it in this picture, right? And you're behind the resource. Sorry about that. But I think it's been really a welcome change, and it's something good. Any questions about the new updated website? I'm going to call upon Sue Swing at this time to talk about Ministry Scheduler Pro. Sue has been working on this for, is it 5 years now? She is the mastermind behind, she is the hard worker behind.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, dedicated. Thank you to everyone who is part of the volunteer scheduling program. We have been using it for 5 years. It's an online scheduling tool, really easy to use. I'd say 90% of our volunteers who use it don't have too much trouble with it. We have 470 volunteers in there currently, and I was just looking at the schedule. 270 volunteers a month are scheduled with all the different ministries that we do on Sunday morning. Can you click? Schedule's prepared every 3 to 4 months. You get notification via email that a schedule is coming up, so you have an opportunity to go into your profile and pick any dates that you can't serve. So you never have to worry about volunteering when you cannot be here if you've got something going on. And if something comes up at the last minute or week before, 2 weeks before, you can do something called a sub-request, and all qualified volunteers will get that email from you saying, hey, I'm not going to be here on today, September 30th, can someone fill the position for me? It works pretty well most of the time. We're often getting volunteers at the last minute that way, and you see how busy we are here at St. Matthew's and with all of our visitors. It really helps to have scheduled volunteers here to provide that welcome and answer questions. So I really appreciate everyone who uses that sub-request feature because it works and positions do get filled. When you first start volunteering, you get a link that is sent to you, and then in that link is the password and the user ID information. I do not have your password. They took that privilege away from me about 3 years ago, top security, I guess. So even though I can see your phone number, your address, and email, I don't know your password. So if you ever forget it, send a message to the system, or you can ask me to reset it for you. It's pretty easy to do. But this screen, yep, that's the sign-in page. And the next one, that's your profile page and your schedule. So you can click on each one of those tabs on your own once you log in, find out who else you're scheduled with, see who all the volunteers are under the roster tab, and then under my profile. This one's really important, and if you are a volunteer already, I ask you to log in and just pay attention to how accurate your information is in this tab. You can select when you want to get your email reminders. You can select to receive text messages. Right now, the only way we can do that is the day before. But if you're someone who checks their phone a lot, you can get that reminder the day before. And below that, we don't have it showing, but there's ministries and scheduling, and that's where you can pick the service times. The thing you can't pick at this point in time is which ministry you want to be involved in. And you let me know that, I send you the link, and then you have control over almost everything else. But if people started changing their mind in the middle of a scheduling period, we'd see people dropping off the schedule and not really knowing if we had volunteers for a given Sunday. So that's the only thing, the ministries that we kind of maintain control of. However, if you ever feel like something is not working for you, you're scheduled too much, you don't want to do a ministry anymore, you're not scheduled enough, just email me. I feel like I have a relationship with all 470 of the volunteers, and I'm happy to make it a positive experience for you with volunteering. You're extremely important and a huge part of the vitality of the congregation on Sunday morning. So this will be, I think that's it, right? This will be, and those are 14 different volunteer positions. So, and you think, oh, 470 volunteers, that sounds like a lot. It is never enough. And so if anything interests you, you can sign up to volunteer at any point, not just during the stewardship drive, but anytime you think, oh, I want to try something new, I'm already here on Sunday, we would love to have you volunteer on Sunday morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Like I said, we used to do a paper system with postcards, and it was a nightmare. And this has helped, but it's still a lot of work. So big thanks to Sue for making that all happen. Did you know that we have our own channel on YouTube? Does everybody know what YouTube is? That's the first question. And it sounds like maybe a funny question, but there's people that do not use YouTube and have never used YouTube. I talked to one person yesterday. They're like, what is YouTube? Never use it. It's a wonderful resource by Google where they put all, people can put videos. And if you're ever looking for an alternative to TV, YouTube, literally, some of my favorite shows are on YouTube that are just people that blog and do different things. So we have a channel. We've had it for 8 years. And we put up every one of our adult education topics. So if you can't be here for one, you can go there and watch them, as long as the equipment worked for us that day. That's always it's a little bit in question sometimes. Sometimes things happen. But almost every one of our adult eds are up there for 8 years. If you want to go back and watch Pastor Gary's retirement, you can. If you want to go back and watch Pastor Gary's wedding, we posted weddings, some funerals. If you missed those, some special events like congregational meetings, if you can't make a meeting, this one will be posted today. And so we've also, about a year and a half ago, started streaming our services, and as soon as the stream ends, it becomes a video on YouTube. So the way you go is you go to youtube.com, and then you type in our channel name, which is St.Matt's Tosa. Really a valuable thing. So great way to check things out. I had a person that really was kind of, I won't say upset, but they said, you know, I missed all that stuff on the Taboo Talks, and I really wanted to know more about it. I'm really mad that I missed it, and I wish you had done more with that, and I wish you would share some of the information of that. I said, oh, well, go to our YouTube channel. You can watch all the classes on it. And they're like, what? You know, and it was just this, they had never heard that we have this, and it's really a great resource. So if you go to our website, click on our YouTube channel, there's a button there that'll take you right to it. You don't have to remember St. Matt's Tosa or any of that, but it's a great thing to look at. Big thanks to our group that works on recording these sessions, the adult ed sessions, and then afterwards they spend upwards of 2 to 3 hours taking that video off the camera, editing it, loading it up, waiting for it to load, then editing the channel. This is what the actual channel looks like on YouTube. So there's lots of different playlists. So you can go to the worship playlist, you can go to adult ed, you can go to a certain year, you can type in a name and say Taboo Talks and pull them up, and you can just find them that way. You can type in Pastor Chris's sermons, I want to hear them again. You can, you know, all those kind of things, you can go and do that. So this is a great resource for us that I really want people to know about. Yeah.
I just want to
clarify, so when you see that little microphone for Google, you go to YouTube first. If you go to St. Matt's, you don't get all of this stuff?
So there's two ways to get to this, and one way is just to go to YouTube on any browser, website browser, just like any web page. You would type in youtube.com. That would take you to this web page, the YouTube main web page, which would give you millions of videos for you to watch if you want. And you can type in any topic. I want to learn more about Paul's travels. I want to learn more about this Bible book. I guarantee you someone has done a video on it. Now, it might not line up exactly with your own theology, but it's there. When I did research on the trip for Greece and Rome, there's tons. All of Rick Steves' stuff is up there. All of his shows. So it's through YouTube. YouTube is the website. And then within that website are all these videos. And so they let you create your own channel, just like a TV. Consider it like a TV, and you're going to each of these channels. We can show you if you need some help. But it's a great way. So we've created our own channel that holds all of our recordings. Yeah?
So with this channel, is there a subscription?
There's no subscription. It is free. We will pay you to go to it. No.
Can you subscribe to that?
Okay. Yes. So the way this works, the way YouTube works, is if you really like something, like Rick Steves, for example, you can click on the subscribe button. And what that means is your email, it will send you reminder emails. Whenever something new is posted, you get an email. And so if you're a subscriber, and it just means you're getting an email. If you're a subscriber, for example, anytime our live worship goes live, you get a little email saying, hey, it's live now if you want to watch. And then it gives you a button to take you to. So you can subscribe to, I think we've got, I don't know what the number is there. It's like 120 people that are subscribed, 119 right now. And it would be wonderful to have more people subscribe because it just makes it easy when you know something's new. Thank you for that. Yes. So you do have to have a Google account to be a subscriber. Anybody can go and watch it, but to subscribe and to get the email, they only send it to Google emails. Google locks it down that way. Does that make sense? We can explain some of this individually. By the way, if you want to talk about any of this stuff individually, I'd be happy to do that. Done.
When you do go on YouTube, they've got a space where you can type in what you want to
Right,
watch.
right.
For instance, I've watched Dean Martin's Celebrity Roast
Yeah.
from the 70s.
So that little button, well, if you're not in if you're in our channel, that little eyeglass button is a search button. You can search in our channel. If you're on the general TV, YouTube, the overall, you can do that same thing. And by the way, if you're ever wondering if one of your favorite TV shows from when did TVs come out? 1935? Am I too old? Dean Martin, or I wish I could go back and watch all the, I don't know, whatever you like. Milton Berle, anything from the 50s. You can somebody has put it up there, and you can watch it. The quality won't be great because it was in 180 point. It was in. We won't get into that, but yes, in kinescopes, it's a different class. Moving on. So YouTube is a great thing. Please check it out. We're happy to show it to you. Happy to help you with it if you'd like. And a big thanks to people like Dave and Brian and all the people that help us with Randy with videotaping every week. It's wonderful. And Ed, who's up there right now. Say hi, Ed. Thank you, Ed. Ed is up there. He's constantly working on this stuff, so thanks to him. Our online library link. Did you know that every one of our books in our library have been painstakingly entered into this library catalog? They've got a website called Tiny Cat, which means Tiny Catalog. So it's if you're a Pastor Matt and you've got how many books does he have, Pastor Ann? 5,000 books down there, and you want to create your own little library catalog so you know where, if you're going to catalog things and know where they are, you can do that. And we have done that. The people that have worked in the library have worked so hard at that. And so all of our books are in there. You can go, and this can be found through our website, this link to this page. And if you go to that, again, that resources tab that Judy was hiding behind, right? And Don was praying over. You can go and you can type in any subject, so devotional. And it looks like this. This is what comes up. You can type in any subject that you're wondering about if we have a book on, and we probably do. And when you find it, something will come up, and you can click on that book and get, it actually ties into, I think Dee, does it tie into the ISBN website? Yes. So once we've entered the book, it connects to the National Archive books, so it gives us the ISBN number, it gives us all the author's information, it gives us the dates, how many pages, a synopsis of what the book is about, it gives us tags that it would be associated with, and then what's really cool, it's another cool thing to it, it'll tell us where you can find it. That's an important thing with a catalog, right? Where to find it in our library. But then, I didn't do that. But then at the very bottom, it also shows you where, if you just want your own copy, there's an Amazon link, and you can click on that, and it'll take you to Amazon. You can buy it by, if they have a Kindle version of it, you could do that, or you just want to order your own copy. For whatever reason, if you just want to have your own, you can do that. So it's really a helpful thing. And big thanks to all of our librarians that worked so hard on it. How long did that take, Dee? I was going to say like 6 months to get that all done. It was a lot of work. So, but it's really nice to have that resource for us. So that's something to note as a connection piece. All right, I'm limiting myself here. Online donations, this is something that is we've brought in. Simply Giving has been around for 20 years, 15 years. I forget exactly how long. Sonia, do you think? 20? Oh, Holly's there. Hi, Holly. What was it? 04? Okay, since 04, 14 years. So that's been a really helpful thing for us as a church, because one of the problems with churches is if people are, especially in the standard culture of church, people often write checks or give a cash donation. And so that often happens when people are here. Now, if you're on vacation or gone someplace for 3 months or whatever, or just don't come in the summer or whatever it is, churches' budgets look crazy. I mean, watching how money comes in and goes, it's like huge waves, and Christmas is just like, people wait to the end of the year and write a check at once. So trying to budget on that, trying to know how that's going to work is really crazy. And it used to be really bad before Simply Giving. Simply Giving is an online or an electronic, I think it's ACH, I always get those acronyms wrong, electronic donation where you sign up for whatever amount you want to pledge, and how often that happens, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever, and you choose when that will come out of your savings or checking account, and it really helps even things out. Am I taking all your steam? I was going to call on you, Al. Sorry. I was going to call on Al. I'm just steamrolling right over him. Sorry. I'll just keep going. Sorry. Unless you want to jump in? Okay. So that has really balanced things out. So it's smoothed down a lot of those huge waves of when people are here and not here. But that same company, which the background company to Simply Giving is VANCO, and they're the ones that manage all that for us, and they now have a lot of different other ways to also give, and we have started using some of those. So on our main website, that revised website, at the very top is a give button, and that's one way if you wanted to make a donation and you couldn't make it to church, or you just want to support something that's happening, youth mission trip or hurricane relief or any of those things, you can make an online donation through a credit card, and you can do that. So that's one link. There's a mobile app called Give Plus that you can sign into the church's access to that and give through that. That's a nice way to do it. We also have an iPad kiosk that we've been using for a few things. It'll get used more. We're for sure using it at the Meru coffee side of things, so if you want to buy coffee that way, you can do it, coffee or chocolate. And if you just want to make a donation through it, you can do that as well. And then we haven't done this yet, but we're moving towards it, the method called text to give, where if there is a, for example, hurricane relief that Sunday, and we really want to emphasize that we can say, text to this number the amount and hurricane, the word hurricane or something, and just through a text, you can, it has you set it up the first time, but once you're set up, each time you do it, you just text and you're done. So it's a very quick way of doing that people could literally do, very quickly, even during a Sunday morning. So those are things going on. It really hit us between the eyes when we went to this conference on it, and I think we had about 100 people in the room, and the question was, so how many of you are carrying any cash with you today? And there was about 5 people that raised their hand. Now, I think that was much higher in the past. You always had a 20 in your purse or your wallet just in case your tire went flat or whatever. You wanted to make sure you had a little bit of cash just for the emergency. Less and less people are doing that, There's companies that aren't even allowing cash for their business. That just blows me away. I don't know how many of the banks are not taking change anymore. Did you know that? Not all the banks will take your change. They don't want to mess with it, Isn't that amazing? So then, then they also said, now how many of you, how many checks have you written in the last month? And how many people aren't using checks anymore? This is how church operates, even us today. I would say quite a bit of still what we do is through checks, through cash, and seeing this change happening, we need to get on board with this. We need to make the change because it's really going to affect us. And so that's important for us to think about. So this is a big thing. I'm using up all my time for the stuff I really wanted to get to. So, any questions with that before I move on? All right, thank you. So, big thing, this is what I wanted to spend half the time on that I only have about 5 minutes left for. We are installing a new church database that will keep our church records. For the past, Holly helped me out, 25 years we've had shepherd staff? Even longer than 25 years. And now, it's been regularly updated. I don't want to make it sound like it was written in 30 years ago and we've never updated it. It gets updated regularly with security updates and all sorts of things, just like Microsoft sends you out. But it doesn't do certain key things that we do need it to do. So let me put this in. One of the key things it does is moves everything up into the cloud. So we've had issues where part of what the problem with our old system has been is that a lot of the data is kept in, especially on one main computer where the database is held. There has been some networking to that, but to various degrees of success. But a lot of the, especially program staff, create their own little databases. And so you end up with your own little database that you have to try to keep up with. John has one, I have one, Gretchen, I bet Sue, you use shepherd staff a little bit more than most of us though. And we even had certain situations where somebody would say, please remove me from your roster for whatever the reason, and they would tell one person, but we had their name in 6 different places. So they'd get another email or a letter, and they'd say, I told you to remove my name, and we said, oh, sorry, and then that person removed, and then they get another one. This happened there was one person that happened 5 times. They were really getting upset. We had a come to Jesus meeting where the whole staff said, okay, look at your databases now. We want to honor their request and we need to do this. So now moving into the cloud, it becomes one place where the entire staff has access. When you make a change, it's immediately changed, instantly changed. And so you always have up-to-date records. So people will say to any one of us, oh, my email changed, could you please change it? Great. We make that change. In the past, we changed it in our own little database. Hopefully we remembered to go and tell the office staff so that it was in the main database, but that didn't always happen. I am just as much guilty as anyone else. I admit that. But now, when you take the change, even from your cell phone, We can literally do it on the fly from our cell phone, from an iPad, from any internet source. We can make that change, and it's immediately up to date. That's huge. We estimated, and I might be overstating this, but we estimated that our accuracy on our data in the past was probably about 70% correct. And that's all sorts of reasons for that. People don't tell us sometimes when an email changes or when they move. You know, oh, I moved to Canada, didn't you know that? You know, that stuff happens. Or our own mistakes, you know, or we type it in wrong. There's all sorts of reasons for inaccurate data. But having a cloud database is going to be huge. It's going to help us with lists, emails, reports. It's going to be doing our financial reporting, but it's not right now. That will happen in January. So right now we've been entering some stuff in and are working with it, but we're not using that as our main financial source. That will happen in January. So that's a big thing. But it also is helping us with attendance tracking. So for example, for confirmation, I put out an iPad with the 7th and 8th grade list for confirmation. The kids come along, they just tap their name and they check themselves in. I double check it at the end to make sure that they didn't tap all sorts of other names. And I save it, and now I've got a record of who was there that night, and I can send out an email to those that weren't and say, hey, I recorded, it's up on YouTube, you can watch my class, please go and make some notes, hand those in, and I'll check you off. You know, those kind of things. So we can do that for mission trip meetings, we can do it for small group events, we can keep track of groups so that we can send out emails and stuff like that. One of the other big things that we've also added with this is background checking through verified volunteers. So they're connected to our system of the Serving Keeper database. So they're connected with it. And so we can do background checks for example, the adults going on a youth mission trip. You know, we background check everybody for that. One thing we probably won't do for a little while, but it's on our radar, is we can actually do special checking in of, for example, nursery and Sunday school. So they've got a variety of methods, including fingerprint scanning. They've got barcode printing labels, so you put it on the back of the kid that you scan when they leave. Because honestly, think about this nightmare. Someone says, "Oh, I'm their uncle, and I'm here to pick them up." Okay, that's a nightmare. That would just be a nightmare. We hope it would never ever happen. But so thinking about that stuff is important, and moving towards that would be really good. So this morning at 12:30 this morning, I sent out an email to the congregation. Did you get it? Some of you got it. So it was an invitation to go to a portal, your own personal portal, that would allow you to see your information on our database. So it allows you to then go in. You have to add a password for your portal. It uses your household email. So whatever we have for your main email for your household, that's the one it gets sent to. And then when you're logged in, you've got a password, you go in and you see your information. It looks, did I put it up there? So this is what the email should have looked like when you would have received it, inviting you to come and check in at this portal. And this is what the portal looks like. This was off of a computer. It looks a little bit different on a phone. But essentially, you have the family profile at the top with your household information. You can click on that and edit it. So if you don't like the email it was sent to, you can change that. So what I would encourage you for the household or the family is it needs to be whoever actually reads email. The person that actually checks their email. And we don't know who that is in your house. It's whoever that is, whatever that email is that you actually check. You probably have 5 emails like me. Which one do you actually check? There's probably some that you never check. Please don't send all our church stuff there. Because that's what some people do. So that should be one that is accurate. That's where the portal invitation was sent to. You can make an adjustment to that if you want. on that family information. Then each individual, you can go and click on that profile button there, and it will take you to that person's information where you can change their own cell phone, their own email. My kids each have a different email. They each have a different cell phone number. Noah is living at college right now. He can have a different address, so he'll get stuff there. Things like that. You can make those changes. It does have your birthday in there. In the directory, it shows as month and day, not year. You were waiting for it, weren't you? But one of the other key parts to this whole thing is you can tell it what is shown to the congregation. We as staff will see everything, but what is shown to the congregation, there's an unlist button almost next to every one of those things. So if you don't want people to know your address, you don't want people to know your email, any of your phone numbers, all of that you can say, I don't want to be listed. I don't even want to be listed in the directory. So to get into this portal is through that email that came and that invitation I showed you. When, if you get that, you go into your portal, it'll be like this, and that's where you edit all that information right there. So that's a key thing. It's really going to be helpful to us, we believe, if people use it. If people go in and actually, yep, this is all the accurate information. This is the stuff I want the church to use. It's really helpful to us. If you leave it as listed, so it shows up in the directory, other people then will be able to go into the directory and say, I want to send so-and-so a get well card. What's their address? I want to send them an email wishing them well on this thing that's coming up. I can go and look at that. I want to call them. If that's there, they can find it. If you've unlisted it, they won't see it. But that's up to you. Also, let me see, did I do these separate pages? So this shows you the personal information there. And by the way, you can also list how you want to be known. So when on your family link, what your letters say when they come to so-and-so, the most reverend Pastor Chris, you can state what that is. That's probably not what you would do, but Chris and Donna Mankey, that kind of thing. You can list how it gets addressed. People are very particular about that stuff, believe me. So you get to choose. And you'll see the listing and not listing here on this personal. Does that make sense? It's really a helpful thing we hope people will really use. Now, coming up soon, on October 14th, the reason we're doing this now, 2 weeks before Stewardship, is we want you to get used to the portal. We want people to get in there. We're going to keep sending out that reminder email if people have, and we can see who hasn't gone in and done it, so we can keep sending to those people that have not logged in. What's the reason you haven't logged in? Did you not even get it? Do we have the wrong email? Maybe we need to send an actual paper postcard saying you should have received this by now. Please call us if you think we have your inaccurate information. But we can see who should have received it. We can see who's already signed in. About 2 hours after, at about 8 this morning before we had the other class, we had about 45 people that had signed in. So, from home, they can do that and give us that information. So that's really important. But on October 14th, you won't see this right now. You won't see this side. You'll see a couple of these buttons. You're going to see the allergies button. If you want to tell us what allergies you can edit that. There's about 30 allergies in there. I couldn't believe how many allergies there were. I think cucumber was one of them. So lots of allergies, and I'm not going to say any of them are wrong. And they all made sense. But you click on that edit button, it'll show you the whole list. You can click on the ones that apply to you. And then you hit save, and now we have that information as to what allergies people have. General skills, I think, is still open. I closed off the other ones, but general skills is still open, so you can click on edit, and you can go through that list of about 40 general skills, and you can say, I like working with computers, and I like doing photography, and I like sewing, and I like baking, and you can click the ones that you are interested in doing, and then that will show up for us instantly. Part of the reason, besides just having accurate data, one of the reasons we're trying to move in this way for stewardship is literally last year, we saw a real breakdown in that system. we literally had at least 50 packets still sitting there a month later after we launched. 50 packets still that needed to get to homes and that we weren't getting there. And then even after that, a month later, we had very few that had come back. We got to the point where there was about 60% that had actually filled them out. But once we get that, you have to realize once they finally came back, it took us about 3 months to enter them in. So you get the paper form, you have to go to the computer, you have to compare and it's about 3 months. So by end of January was our deadline to try and get those in. Right now, you make the change, you click your buttons, you hit save, we have it. It's done. It's that fast. So the hope is that people will really use this system. We recognize that there's a whole variety of people that don't have email, that don't want to work with computers, that don't know anything about computers. They don't want to even get near one, and that's fine. So we do have the paper copy available as well. So if people want to use that, they can just take one of those, fill it out, and give it back to us. That's fine. Okay, we are going to drive a few of those out, especially the people who are shut in that won't be able to get here. So that's something that's going on. But on the 14th, we're going to open up the Time and Talent box, which is the activities. There's about 70 boxes in there where you would go through, just like the Time and Talent sheet, you'll see them all. They're organized by groupings, and you would say, yep, I want to sign up for the men's committee, or I want to sign up to do this or that. And you check those boxes, hit save, and now you've filled out your Time and Talent sheet, and we have it immediately. There's also the Sunday morning sign up that Sue talked about. There's one of those boxes where you click on that and you can sign up for different things there. One of the beauties of this system is it's coordinated with MSB. So it is the same company and it works handheld back and forth. It shares information. So that will help us be more and more up to date on that. There's also a links page on that portal that takes you, kind of like the resource button on the website, takes you to important stuff. You'll notice the top one on here is 2019 pledge form. We didn't have a way through our system to have people enter their pledge information. The company does not allow you to edit your pledge information on the portal. You can see all of your information. You'll be able to see detail literally down to checks you've written, cash you've given. It'll tell you where you said you wanted to go. You can check that and say, oh, that's not right. I got to call them and let them know, or send us a note at the bottom there. I noticed on my thing. But you can also see how much you've given over a quarter, or you can choose a week or a year, and it'll show you the graph of where you are, and it'll also have a button to show you your pledge. So, but that top button, we didn't have a way to enter or change the pledge through the portal, so we created, I think it's in, no, it's not there. It'll take you to, and I'm going to do another class on the 14th on this just to explain it to people, but it'll take you to another page where it's very simply gathers your information. Type in your name, your email. Do I want to change my pledge or not? No, I want to leave it alone. Done. Yes, I want to change it. Okay. How do you want to change it? How's the general? Do you want to change the general? No, leave that alone. Next page. Do you want to change the building maintenance stuff? Yeah, I want to make a change to that. What is it? Great. Next one. Do you want to change anything else? And then you can also fill out your Simply Giving form right there as well. So that is the way we're going to try and capture it electronically. Again, if you're somebody that's like, no, I don't want to do any of that, just give me a paper form. We've got those for you. We can do that as well. Or we have help desk people that we've tried to, we did a little class at the last time. We're trying to help people make changes. So if you didn't get the email, go out there right now. They'll pull up your information on our database and they'll say, well, this is the email we have for you. We noticed it's an AOL address. Is that still good? No, AOL's not, we're not using AOL anymore, Okay, what is your address? We'll send it, and then we can send you right there a new invitation, and now you've got it. So they are ready to help you with that, to make sure people get that portal access and can help us with it. So the 14th, Time and Talent is through that involvement tab. Right, like I said, right now it's not open. We closed it off. Right before I sent the invitation, we closed it. We took off that pledge form because we want, right now these next 2 weeks are just about people using the portal, getting used to the portal, being ready for when we open those up. Now you know the portal, this is all back your hand, this is easy. Now it's just, I'm gonna click on these involvement tabs, make my selections and be done. And it should take literally 5 minutes. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's like we said, it's really helpful to us. If you can't remember what your last year's pledge was, we have timed all of this to be at the same time as when you get your quarterly statement. So you'll get your paper quarterly mailing statement that we always do quarterly. You'll have that paper right in front. It should come about a day or two before we open these portals. We'll open the involvement tabs and the pledging information. So you can look at that if you want to make a comparison and say, well, this is what I pledged this year. Yeah, I'm going to adjust that a little bit, you know. You can choose that. Or I want to give to this fund that I didn't last year, you know. So does that make sense? It should really help us. We've got the help desk, like we said, they're there to help you, and we're trying to make that really a seamless process. This is a huge experiment for us. You know, how is this all going to go? We've worked really hard on this like the last couple months, and we're hoping it's very smooth. But we recognize we probably haven't thought of all the questions that other people are going to ask. And so we're ready to help with that and figure those things out. I'm sure by next year this is going to be super smooth. We'll figured some new stuff out that'll make it that much better. I'm already amazed at what I can do with it and how it's helping me. You know, before it's like, oh, my own little database worked. It was fine. It wasn't accurate. I got a lot of people saying, this is wrong, change this. I got a lot of those kind of emails. Now I'm able to grab a list of, like the men's breakfast. I grabbed 500 emails for the men. I was able to send out an email. I think I got 3 back that said the email was wrong out of 500, you know, things like that. So, you know, the hope is that we really have some good data that really helps us communicate well and effectively and supports the ministry that much better. So that's the goal with the whole servant keeper. Like I said, if you didn't get the email, maybe check your junk mail. And Pastor Matt, I asked him, I said, did you get it? You know, right when he came in the morning, did you get your email? He said, no, I didn't get it. I said, okay, so he went right away. He has a special thing that, I told it to the other group. I didn't tell this to you. He has a special thing that looks for that kind of email, an email that's sent to massive amounts of people, or from an organization that looks like it was sent to massive amounts of people, and it immediately pulls it aside where he can just go down the line and say, unsubscribe, 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 and he just clicks a button and it unsubscribes. So if you want to learn more about that, talk with Pastor Matt. He's more techie than I am, right? So that's really cool, but he realized he hadn't gotten the email, and that's where it was. So if you didn't get it, first maybe check junk, you know, your junk mail, your spam. You know, sometimes your stuff pulls aside. But if you didn't, we just might not have the right email. We might not have an email at all for you. And so we can help you with that at the help desk, okay? So we hope it'll be really supportive of ministry and help us in a lot of ways with all of this. So, any other questions? Did you all stop listening like 20 minutes ago? Sometimes I wonder that in preaching, it's like, you know, when people get that look on their face like they're really zoned. So hopefully it was helpful. So thank you all for coming out. And again, if you have any questions, you can help you with any of this stuff, YouTube or the portal, we'd love to show it to you. Thanks.